Wi-Fi Sheep would like to say a huge thank you to all of you that kindly support us. Help us continue to bring new videos like this. Join patreon.com/Wi-Fi Sheep from just $1 a month. Hi everyone, how you doing? And a very warm welcome back to youtube.com/Wi-Fi Sheep with me, Tom. And this update and response video to my recent video looking at Wi-Fi on RISCOS Pi, which, just to refresh your memory, if you haven't seen the video, didn't work that well. We didn't actually get it. We got it to connect, but we couldn't get it to do anything else. It was a little bit disappointing. Must say huge thank you to you, the community, that have sort of stepped up and have sent me many a message and comment to that video, suggesting some really helpful things to try and make this work. So in today's video, which is, I'm recording, where are we? We are the 2nd of June. So the video went up on the 1st, which is yesterday, the 2nd of June 2024. And I'm going to try and put together a response, and we're going to try a few things to see if it works. So I've got the desktop here. This is RISCOS Pi. This is, well, was the latest version. This is where we left off. And I'm running on a Raspberry Pi 400. This is an early Raspberry Pi 400. The Raspberry Pi 400 hardware changed during COVID, or just after COVID, because of the chip shortage. So the later ones are a slightly different configuration internally to this, which is one of the early ones, which might have been part of the issue. Anyway, a lot of you have actually got back to me and have said that you've actually had exactly the same problems as I've had, and that the version of RISCOS Pi 5.30 with this new Wi-Fi connective driver thingy didn't work for you either, having the same problems. Many of you suggested it's the security certificates, and if you ran your Wi-Fi without security, it would work. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm simply, RISCOS asks too much all the time, having to sort of bend and try and get around things just to make this operating system do the sheer basic things that all the other kind of competitors, including the free hobby competitors, now do much better than it. So I draw the line at, dropping security here on my Wi-Fi network just to see if this works. However, hopefully I won't have to do that. Now I want to draw your attention to the RISCOS Open website, and let's just click through, and we'll go to downloads and back to Raspberry Pi. Now, apparently there has been an update to the 5.30 image, although it's still 5.30 and it's a very subtle update, but the actual date of the official build has changed. So it was updated on the 16th of May, or the 5th, so that was last month. I didn't realise this at the time, so I recorded mine, I think, a couple of days before this, so they might have known there was a problem. Anyway, version number is still the same, which is confusing, but let's download that. So we'll let that download. Also, I've noticed that the actual drivers, which were also updated at the same time, are here in a separate download. So it might be possible. I'm just wondering, should we reflash the image, or should I just update the drivers? Do you know what? Let's reflash the whole image, assuming you're still new to this and you're going to try this for the first time. Let's reflash the SD card completely. So we'll scrap what we got, start again, and we'll see if we can actually connect. So just let that download. Now I'm going to use Balena Etcher that I've actually used before. I'm not going to go over the process of how to flash the SD card, because I did that last time. You do need to flash the SD card. You can't just unzip the contents of the download and then click and drag and drop onto a fat formatted SD card. That doesn't work because there's a hidden file structure that needs to be created. So the only way to do this is to use something like Raspberry Pi Imager, or my favourite, which is Balena Etcher, which I'm going to do now. I'll just do it off camera quickly. So we'll have a fresh SD card ready to try this again. Okay, so that took a few moments. The SD card has now been reflashed, so we'll take that out, the reader. You may notice the Raspberry Pi is still on. And if we take a look, you can see I shut the RISCOS down, but I didn't actually turn the power off. So the RISCOS is technically still running, via it in this very limited mode, even though the SD card was taken out of the Raspberry Pi and was actually reflashed. Now, the reason for this is actually a legacy of RISCOS, is it creates a virtual ROM or EEPROM type chips. This is originally how RISCOS worked with the Archimedes, and that was a follow-on from the BBC Micro. A core operating system, including a mouse and desktop, was actually loaded on an EEPROM, which meant that when the system booted, it didn't actually need a hard disk in order to have basic system functions. Well, that's carried over to the Raspberry Pi. So there's actually a ROM that boots up when you initialize RISC-OS. That loads into the RAM of the Raspberry Pi, and it technically means that a base RISC-OS operating system can actually operate even if you take the SD card out of a Pi while it's running. Something that I don't think works that well if you try it with an equivalent Linux system. Anyway, let's put the card back in. Just remembering where the SD card slot on these. I'm so used to the Orange Pi, the all-in-one clone now, that I forget where the actual SD card slot on a Pi 400 is. Anyway, there we go. Right, so let's go back to the screen. Now we should be able to just click restart, and it should just restart us on the new reflashed ROM. There we go. Now, the other thing about our stock RISC-OS Pi especially is it will just sort of hang here trying to find a Ethernet network connection by default, which is extremely annoying. So we haven't got anything connected at the moment. We want to go through Wi-Fi, so we just hit escape. Then it'll complain about not being set up. Just click cancel. And that should take us through to a new fresh desktop. There we go. And it pops up the web browser. We're not connected to anything. The other slight gripe about this is there's no obvious sort of button that you click to activate the Wi-Fi. You have to go digging to find it, which is, again, rather tedious and annoying. And another thing about RISC-OS that kind of annoys me is that the main developer group that do it just seem to assume that people know everything and have no idea about how general public or casual new users would actually expect or look at, using something, especially on the Raspberry Pi. So it's a bit annoying, but basically you middle click. Remember, left right is slightly different on a RISC-OS Raspberry Pi, so it's middle click instead of right clicking. You can change that, but there we go. Right, so there's the configuration, and we want, where are we? Network. Internet interfaces, right, so it's under interfaces, and you have here, so motherboard, it's identified the Broadcom Ethernet network, so we can click that off. It's also found the Wi-Fi card, which we can configure, and if we say via DHCP, so we'll set status. That's fine for the moment. So when we close, we can hit save, and now it'll ask us to restart. So we'll say restart now, and now the system's going to obviously do a restart again. So now you can see down here where it's saying, it's very small, but it's saying connecting DHCP server, and there's the Wi-Fi interface. Now we do have to give this a minute just to sort itself out. If you escape through this, it'll just ignore the connection, which we want the connection. So we've just got to let it sit here for a moment. It's annoying, and there we go, we're through. And now you see we've now got a little Wi-Fi icon. So if we now, and it's a middle click again, and I've still got two Sky. So what are those? So that's WPA2. And that, which is the faster. So I never quite understand why I have two channels. Well, that would assume to be the faster of the two connections. So now I'm going to go and dig out my password again, and we'll come back in a minute. Right, password is in. So let's hit connect. What happens this time? Remember, this is where we kind of had issues last time. So let's see. No. Same again. Same again. Security open dangerous. So I noticed Let's just see if we can can we disconnect from that, or is it going to time out again? Timed out again. Nope, not happening. And then we just get this failed, what the hell that is, which won't actually disconnect. Yeah, that is a pain. I just want to go back to, if I can, the browser. So there is this option, which is to actually download the drivers separately. So in case that hasn't been updated properly, we could always try these new drivers. Let's download this zip now. Okay, so I've just downloaded that. Let's just going to pop that onto a USB stick. I'll be back in a minute. The important thing to remember here is when you're downloading software for RISCOS, don't unzip the zip files. Keep the zip files zipped. I'm talking software you're going to add to the operating system, not for reflashing the whole OS to a SD card as we've done previously. Then obviously, yes, you unzip it and you flash the .img file. But if you're adding software or extra drivers, we need to keep those zipped for hopefully quite obvious reasons. So I'm just going to do that now. Okay, let's pop this USB stick. It's almost like a dongle, it's tiny size, but there we go. Pop that in and hopefully RISCOS will see it. And yep, it has. So there's the drive. Plenty of junk on here, and Wi-Fi support is that file there. So see how it's kept in a zip format. So we just need to find somewhere. So we'll click the SD card. That's like the equivalent of a C drive. We can click, drag, drop, and close that. So we're done there, and now we can unzip this file. There it is, and there's a README. And basically we have this boot file here that we have to merge with this boot file, and to do that we double click this boot file and we double click boot, single click boot, and we click to install, and then we simply drag and drop this boot into this space. We click merge, click set, and that should have installed the drivers. It's the one thing about RISCOS I really do like, is that's kind of unique the way that works. It's always been like that, even since the very early days in the 80s. It's so different to kind of how you do stuff with Windows or Linux, Raspberry, where it would all be command control or command prompt based. So let's just do a shutdown and a restart. Okay, if this doesn't work, then I am stumped for ideas at the moment. If you didn't actually have network connectivity running at all, this would literally boot in seconds. There we go. Right. Middle click. So I've now got one there. Let's try that one. Right. Let's see what happens now. So, password back in. Reconnect. Connect. No, same behaviour, just not going to happen. So, right. Okay, let me have a think about this. Okay, so I've given it some thought, and I kind of know what people will say in the comments to me. They'll be like, well, it's the Pi 400, you need to try something else. So I've got here Raspberry Pi 4. What's that? It's a 2 gig Model B version. So we could try that, see what happens. So we'll just power off. Take the SD card out. Pop our Raspberry Pi 400 to a side. Slightly battered, bruised Raspberry Pi 4. This one had a bit of a thermal issue and overheated once, so it was a scrap. But it's sort of been all right. So let's put the mouse in, connect back up. Probably I'm going to need a keyboard in a minute, but let's just power up. Okay. So should expect the same behaviour as we had in the 400 really, other than maybe, I don't know, maybe this might work. We could, I suppose we could always try Pi 3. That would be a last resort, I think. Okay, so we made it to desktop. Interesting. Still finding 2 of mine, but so it's slightly different in its behaviour. Very interesting. Okay. Let's just plug in. Just grab the USB keyboard. It's the same keyboard I use in all these videos, so always useful to have a couple hanging around. So let's pop that in. Yep, we are alive. Excellent. Right, so let's put in the password again. I know my Wi-Fi key off by heart by the time we're finished with this, I'll tell you. Right, so let's just see if that connects. Well, that behaviour is different. The icon's changed. Interesting. NetSurf. Interesting. Okay. And the issue with NetSurf, the stock browser for this, is it basically doesn't work with anything relatively modern. So, I mean, example, we try to go to Wi-Fi sheep.co.uk. It doesn't like the certificates. It never has done. And that is the website. Yeah, my website doesn't kind of work properly. There's stuff you can click on, you just can't see anything. I do need to make like a sort of an old browser-friendly version. I'm trying to think if there's anything we can go to that does actually work. So I have connected on a very slow connection. Come on, my connection isn't that slow. There we go. So, can I disconnect without crashing? I can. So that was, you can see here, that was 56 megabits per second. And the other one being kicked out from my router is 450 megabits per second. So let's try connecting into that one. Okay, and I'll ask it to remember that. So let's try connecting, see if that'll go through. Connection refused. Okay. Which one of, okay, so what's that now connected back on? So it will go on my older, slower, different connection. It won't connect. So the signal on that's quite low, but it won't connect on the, okay. Hang on, let's get the right one, not my neighbour. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, it works. There's the video. There's the last video up on the channel. Certificates don't work properly on this at all. As you can see, it's and this, as I said in the last video, RISCOS is just no good for YouTube or anything. It just doesn't work. That is the height of YouTube's compatibility. Yeah. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Right, so we need to wrap this video up. What have we learned? Well, the new RISCOS Wi-Fi drivers, although welcome, as I said in the last video, are about 8 years too late. And as you can see, even if you do get it working, the web browser support is poor, to say the least. So the usability and usefulness of this is questionable. What we have learned is it doesn't work on the first generation of the Raspberry Pi 400. It keeps crashing. The minute we switched to a Raspberry Pi Model B, Raspberry 4 rather, Model B, it worked. And I'm assuming it would be quite happy on the Pi Zero W and also the Raspberry Pi 3 as well. It'd probably work fine. It'd be interesting to know if it would work on the later revision Raspberry Pi 400. So if you've got a 400 and you've actually got this working with the updates and the patches, I would be really interested to know that and to see sort of how you've got it going and if it's performing similar to what you've seen here in this video. Once again, I just want to say a huge thank you to the community and those of you that reached out to me either in private messaging or in the comments to the last video, suggesting all sorts of things. We've got it to work. It does work. How useful it is, as I've said, is up for debate, but you know, it's there. It's not perfect, far from it, but you know, it's, yeah, okay, RISCOS finally has Wi-Fi. So now when you see me at shows, you can stop asking me about it. I can say, yes, it can connect to your Wi-Fi. What you do with that, I have no idea. But anyway, so once again, thank you so much for your company. If you haven't done so, please do consider liking and subscribing. And I'll see you real soon, right here on the channel. Until next time, bye for now.